Hey there, welcome to this introduction video to Koala Sampler, and essentially an introduction to my new video series that I'm going to be creating, where I go into all aspects of Koala, and I want to start today with just like a very brief overview, what is Koala Sampler, and then in the next episode we'll jump into sort of hardware and bits and bobs, cables and the usual bits. So Koala Sampler essentially is a little MPC style sampler that you can fit in your pocket. Now, a couple of things to talk about. One, I've got a fancy iPad here, nice big screen. Yep, that makes life easy and it's really good fun. However, it's completely not necessary. When I set out to make this series of videos, I wanted to make a set of videos that if I had to start again, I didn't have Ableton and all these like fancy things that I've managed to get over the years. How could I get into making music quickly and cheaply? So this would be the way that I would do it. This particular app at the moment is about £5 UK. There's a couple of little add-ons, but in total I don't think you would spend more than £10, so $10, €10 to get essentially an app that will allow you to make full beats and get them out to the world in a short space of time, with very few limitations there. What limitations that are there are the things that kind of keep me coming back to the app. That might sound strange, but actually when you have Ableton or whatever it is that you use, wherever your DAW is, if you've got all the plugins and all the stuff, the more choices you have, sometimes the less you get done. Or in my case, that's certainly true. I'll make a beat and that process can be quite quick. And then I say, oh, well, I've got to mix it and then master it and get it out to the world. And then that process becomes so long because I have all of this stuff to do it and too many choices. With an app like this, I can just get my track made, add a couple of little effects or whatever it is, and just get it out there. And I think that's like a key part of it. But the budget part is definitely something that I had in mind. I wanted people to be able to pick up something and have access to make music and be creative without needing a lot. And so with that, the reason I've got the Koala Sampler page here is one, so you can see where you can download it. We've got the App Store or Google Play. Very simple stuff. But also so we can look at the minimum requirements of what you would need to use it. At the moment, in terms of like the oldest iPhone you could use would be like the iPhone 5S, as it says here. In 2023, that's a pretty old phone. So I'm kind of hoping that most people these days have got access to a phone, and it goes back old enough that this app, it should be suitable for like a lot of people. I have to mention that I'm not an Android user at all. So anything to do with Android, I don't have any authority on whatsoever. I'm an iOS user, so I've got this iPad, my iPhone, and an iMac. Speaking of which, there is a free desktop version for iMac that I know of. I don't know if there's one for Android PC, but for iMac you can definitely download this app completely for free. Has a couple of little limitations because you can't split stems in there, and if you want to do the screen recording thing for when you're like sampling from Spotify and stuff like that, you would need a separate way of doing that, a different application, which I'm sure you could find. But if you want to start with something completely free and you already have an iMac, then fair enough. I don't really include that in like the super cheap getting started kind of budget because an iMac is expensive, and a desktop PC could be expensive as well. So I think more the route of like, if you've got a phone, you can get started. And yeah, we'll talk more about it as we go. So quickly, just to sort of end on this video because I don't want to make them too long, let's skip back and have a quick look at Koala itself. Now I'm going to go through the user interface and all that in another episode, don't worry. We'll go through all of the buttons and the things. This one's a little confusing and maybe I should have taken my background screen out because it won't look exactly like this. I've got this like fake MPC looking screen here that I created just because I'm a visual artist, so it was a fun little project. So ignore this like LCD thing and these buttons and all of this. It's all fake nonsense. Normally when you get it, you're going to have your 16 pads here, the 4x4 square, and I think the background is probably plain red at first, but it's cool that you can bring images in, and as we go through the the accompanying lessons, you'll see all of that kind of stuff. And the reason I just want to open this now, rather than going into the full user interface, just to talk a little bit about the differences between what an app and this sort of format is to, say, like a DAW. Now, you can do both things here. So obviously you can make full beats in here. You can sequence them and just send them straight out. You don't need any other applications, which is what's great about this. But it's a completely different workflow to, say, like Ableton, Cubase, whatever it is, Logic, you name it, where you've got this like linear left to right format for your like tracks. So you'll see your like audio tracks and your MIDI tracks and the usual things that you've got there. It's a different way. It's like a different approach, and this has definitely been designed by the developers to mimic that MPC kind of approach. It's kind of all in the box, and yeah, you can come in and we can sequence things along, and it has that sort of left to right kind of function there. But it is a different workflow. And I think hopefully these tutorials, even if you're not particularly interested in Koala, but you're interested in that sort of sampling MPC style workflow, you might pick up some tips here, because it's very, very similar. But yeah, I think that will do us for the first episode, rather than me going on any further. As I said, it's going to be a bit of more of a live, unedited kind of feel to these, but I just want to have it like where you're just having a conversation. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed it. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.